Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be covering the poem In Detention by Chris van Wyk. This poem is a South African poem that looks at the circumstances behind the treatment of the citizens of color in the apartheid times. When we do poetry, the first thing that I do is external analysis. The reason for this is that you get to make your own assumptions before you really start to analyze the internal part of the poem, and that helps you to have this preconceived idea, so that when you put everything together, then it will make sense to you whether you were on the right track or not. So for this poem, we start with the title. And what we do with the title for external analysis is we look at the denotation and the connotation, because this will then go in line with your swift analysis of figurative language, whether they mean it literally or figuratively, and therefore you'll be able to put it together. So for the title, the denotation of in would show the position, and detention means to be detained or obviously to be put aside. And then connotation is a place of punishment. So you get sent to detention because you've done something wrong. Then our structure, the way that we start with the structure is you read from left to right, which means that you'll look at your how many lines we have is on the left hand side, which is 14 lines. Then you'll look in the center, there's one stanza, and then on the right hand side you'll look for the rhyme scheme. There is no rhyme scheme in this poem, which means it's written in free verse. And also this poem makes use of a lot of enjambment, and so it really does allow the writer to have free flow of thought from one into another. Enjambment is also used to speed up your pace, and punctuation is used to slow down your pace, just as a tip for next time. If we start looking at the internal analysis of the poem, you'd have to read it. And for time's sake, I'm not going to read it for you, but you can read it. Pause the video and take some time to read it. But if we break down this poem, you'll see that there's really different sections. And the reason why Chris van Wyk did this is because the reason for all of the killings or the disappearance of some of the people and the treatment was multiple reasons that were given from the police. So the first three lines of this poem is the standard reasons that were given to the people for their loved ones, whether they disappeared, whether there was a strange situation that unfolded. These were some of the reasons: the falling from the ninth floor, hanging themselves, or slipping on a soap while washing. So if you break it down, these three reasons, there's three different reasons that's going to come up. The first one that you're going to see is that it's almost the sense we question whether it's going to be murder. Hanging would be suicide, and then lastly would be a slipped on a piece of soap, which is then accidental. And those three reasons then get changed, and then the order of things change. So instead of the falling from the ninth floor first, it's then suicide, then an accident, then the murder. um, and what you'll notice in this particular poem is it becomes more ridiculous towards the ends. And if you think about it, the intention of all of these things, it's not necessarily going to be because they want to sound more elaborate, but it's more so that your lie becomes more elaborate. When you lie, you cannot remember your story. So you start putting pieces together, and it's almost insulting someone's intelligence when you lie. And so when we look at this context, the police officers that were supposed to protect and serve, they didn't do that. And so on the right hand side, you can see we ask, what is the real reason? If somebody disappears or there's a death, we ask ourselves, what is the real reason for somebody disappearing? Murder, suicide, or accidental death? Now, this poem is written very euphemistically and is in a satirical manner, because it's actually poking fun at the reasons that the police came up with on why these people died, or you will no longer find them. And it's interesting that they use the same pronoun, the repetition of the he. And I've highlighted it or underlined it for you so that you can see that he fell, he hanged, he slipped. So nowhere does it say the police did this person did that. So the blame is always on the individual that died, so that the questioning stops with that death and they don't ask any other different questions, or it doesn't get related. The he means that we don't know who the he is. So we don't have any attachment. If it was a name, the brother, the father, that becomes more diction that is associated with emotion. And so using the word he shows that detachment of emotion. It's just a victim, it's just a person. And because of the amount of he's that we have, it shows that there's multiple people that have died in these so called different manners. Now, if we look at all of these things put together and the purpose of this poem, you can say that it is a hyperbolic poem, which means that it is exaggerated for emphasis to show the ridiculousness of the situation and the circumstances that they were experiencing. The tone of this poem is almost sarcastic, scornful, ironic, because you would expect that these things don't happen, but they do. And nowhere in the poem is there any sense of emotion. There's no kind of diction of feeling sorry for them. It's simply stating facts, which shows that it is a neutral tone, it's indifferent, and it shows the dishonesty of the police. And it's almost like, well, there's nothing we can do. It just happened. And so there's no form of caring what these people went through. The fact that they were brothers, fathers, siblings, or things like that, that people would actually feel bad for taking their lives. Hope this helped you guys, and please remember that this video doesn't replace what your teacher has taught you in class. Until the next time.